Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And welcome to the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. I call this meeting to order on July 9th. The time now is 1:04 p.m. My name is Harry Spikes. I am the chairman of the committee. And at this point, from my left, I will ask that everyone introduce themselves. And after that, also staff, introduce yourself.
Eric Holcomb, Executive Director.
Gary Rodwell, representing Coppin Heights Community Development Corporation and Preservation Heritage.
Hi, my name is Ann Powell, and I represent Greater Baltimore Committee.
Myra Mendeleev, Commissioner.
Sarah Langmead, Commissioner.
Tamara Woods, representing DHCD.
Jill Dennis, Commissioner.
Nicole Battle, representing Nonprofit Development.
Kapalin, Commissioner.
Garrett Power, Commissioner.
Tyreek Charlouse, CHAP staff.
Lauren Chiswick, CHAP staff.
Eddie Leon, CHAP staff.
Good afternoon, Councilman John Bullock, City Council Rep to the Commission.
Great. Welcome to all of you who are in attendance today. The mission of CHAP is to enhance and promote the cultural and economy of Baltimore through the preservation of buildings, structures, sites, and neighborhoods that have aesthetic, historic, and architectural value. The goals, CHAP's goals include preserving historical architecture and monuments, reclaiming broken neighborhoods, preventing demolition by neglect, and integrating our city's path with its future. So, few housekeeping rules. Outside, there is a sheet. If you would like to speak, please find the sheet and sign your name, your full name, so that when you do come up, we know who you are and I can announce you. Number two, when you do come up to speak, give us your full name, and forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong. Correct me when you're up on the stage. Another piece of house rules is this. We ask that you put your phones on vibrate. I don't tell people to take your phones off, but put them on vibrate because you may have an important call. If you do have an important call, please take the call outside in the hallway or in the lobby. Also, if there's a conversation amongst yourselves, these mics, as you can tell, pick up a lot of sound. Please have your conversations outside. And finally, only speak, of course, if one of the commissioners or myself calls upon you. We ask that you do not interrupt the hearing when we're speaking or when there's communication being given to us about the presentations. With that being said, I forgot. When you do speak, we give 2 to 3 minutes. When it hits about 2:30, not 2 o'clock and 3 or 30 minutes, but 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will do this, which signals you've got 30 seconds left. And then feel free to complete your sentences. I would like to make a motion to waive the reading of a minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Are there any corrections or additions that need to be made to the minutes?
I have a very minor correction.
Yes, ma'am.
On item number 6, in the motion, it says existing conditions or rear wall, and that should say of rear wall.
Okay. Any others? Sir, thank you. I would like to make a motion to adopt the minutes. Do I have a motion to adopt the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Due process and review procedures. CHAP reviews applications in conjunction with the building permit process of the permit section of the Department of Housing and Community Development. If a building permit application is filed prior to historic design review, the application is placed on hold. Pending completion of the CHAP review process, the review process is completed by issuing an authorization to proceed. The historic design review process is in addition to other applicable laws and regulations and does not diminish the force of urban renewal plans, building codes, zone codes, etc. It is the applicant's responsibility to comply with all applicable laws, regulations, and codes. Proposed projects are reviewed prior to issuing a building permit. Applicants must comply with the Baltimore City Historic Preservation Design Guidelines in planning and executing their projects. Design review considers the proposed work, taking into consideration the historical and architectural character of the structure and of the immediate area. Applicants will need to clearly explain how their project complies with the desired guidelines. Minor projects. In order to expedite the application process, the Commission has delegated review authority to the Executive Director for cases involving minor work. Minor projects must not significantly change the overall appearance or remove the significant undamaged historic fabric. All minor work must clearly meet the design guidelines. Major projects. Major projects must change the overall character, appearance, and integrity of the structure. Substantial building alterations, demolitions, additions, and new constructions are considered major projects and are reviewed at a public hearing. Interested parties should request a pre-development meeting in the planning department to begin the review process. An electronic version of all materials must be submitted to the CHAP staff at least 25 calendar days prior to the public hearing date. If the application is complete, the project shall be scheduled for a public hearing. CHAP hearings. At the public hearing, CHAP staff presents recommendations to the Commission regarding the project. Following the staff presentation, the applicant may make a presentation to the Commission. Interested parties, including neighborhood associations, have the opportunity to provide public testimony. Following testimony, the Commission renders a decision on the application at the public hearing. Persons aggrieved by the decision of the Commission may seek judicial and appellate review in accordance with the Baltimore City Code. After an authorization to proceed is issued, the applicant may obtain a building permit. The Commission's process is impartial, and staff's comments are evidence that assist the Commission in rendering a decision. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the final agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Let's do it. First on our agenda, we have 1530 Fleet Street, Fells Point Historic District. The proposal, reconstruction of non-contributing one-story building. The applicant is H&S Bakery, and the staff is Mr. Eddie Leon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. We have for your consideration the review of 1530 Fleet Street in Fells Point Historic District. This is a project the Commission has seen as last year, originally for the reconstruction of the front facade, which was severely deteriorated and required emergency bracing. The project was reviewed and approved by the Commission last year, specifically August of 2023. He agreed that the front wall severely deteriorated and construction was approved with the additional requirements that the final construction details of the facade and how it interacts with the adjacent property be submitted to staff for review. And that prior to any demolition, the applicant must meet with the adjacent owner to discuss demolition plans. A representative is here. He can discuss how those discussions have occurred. We do have additional written testimony from that particular owner. It is in your Wix site packet. I hope you've had a chance to review that. Ms. Tempera could not be here. She is currently out of the country and could not send a representative. But since the August 2023 commission hearing, the building has further deteriorated, and the owners have decided, with recommendations of their team, to demolish the majority of the building, but leaving a party wall intact, and plan to construct a new wall adjacent to this wall in order to support the roof and the walls all the way around. And they intend to use the design of the front facade, which was approved by the commission in last year's hearing. Here we have the property in question, the front facade. As it currently is, it's severely deteriorated. There's bracing to prevent it from falling into the street. It is a simple brick masonry structure used for automotive truck parts and such. This is a view again of the existing side wall of the building next to a parking lot. The proposal has already been mentioned. Staff applied chapters 2.1 guiding principles for new design, 2.2 site design, 2.3 scale and form, 2.5 materials and detailing of the Baltimore State Preservation Design Guidelines. We have here the existing condition of the design of the garage building and the new proposed construction right next to it. It is only similar in its proportions, site dimensions, and a little bit on the second floor and the detailing of the front cornice. The building from the side elevation is visible to the public right-of-way, and the rear, the entire rest of the building will be constructed in a CMU block construction with a flat roof and all the appropriate drainage as well. Let me get into Ms. Tempera's letter. She asked that the commission, yeah, it's a little long, but it's only page and a half. The commission has addressed and heard my concerns as owner of the adjoining property, 1532 Fleet Street, in the past when plans were presented to replace the front wall, 1530 Fleet Street, last year at several CHAP commission hearings. The commission had stated that before any permits will be issued, permits for the structural bracing that was performed at 1530 Fleet Street would have to be obtained. Unfortunately, permits were never obtained or enforced by code enforcement. Plan number 2023-1115 was presented to me back in March and confirmed recently to be the one in the same by CHAP. This plan to reconstruct includes the removal of the entire site except a party wall that is shared by 1530 and 1532 Fleet Street. Note as the existing building to remain of 1530. The commission last year noted under their previous plan of just replacing the front wall that it would be sad to see a Band-Aid applied to what apparently was a deteriorated building. What is obvious to me is that I will be left with a Band-Aid. The plans denote existing building to remain. What does that mean? As of now, I have not received an answer to how the remains will be addressed. Example, the stucco wall, the damage in the rear, and the deteriorated side wall. After prior conversations with my CHAP representative, there was no answers. I have sent photos once again to the acting director to present to you of the front, back, and side wall of the building to remain as it stands. This is not depicted in their plans. I am asking the CHAP Commission to address the remaining wall that was created and worsened by the neglect of years and illegal bracing. I am asking the commission to request what materials are to be used and how in regarding to the building to remain and how it will visually and structurally be integrated into my building's facade. I would expect that the work to be performed in a professional manner and to be presented to the commission. If not now, then another hearing should be heard with these details before the plans are approved. As I have always said, please imagine this is your home. What would you expect to be done in all fairness? Sincerely, Deborah Tempera. So, the CHAP staff believes the proposed new construction of this non-contributing building site meets the guidelines. CHAP believes the west wall, which is built with CMU, should be stuccoed so that it meets the CHAP design guidelines for building materials. Neighborhood comments, FDRC reviewed and approved the proposal of the original front facade wall and supported it. Recommendation, approved proposed construction with the requirement that the CMU wall on the west elevation is clad with stucco. Thank you, Commissioners.
Eddie, thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Eddie? Yes, sir.
So just to confirm, when it came to us previously, it was just a replacement of the front wall?
Correct.
And now it's coming back and the building has to go down?
Correct.
Does it not need to go through
It,
demo hearing now?
it was already considered listed as non-contributing structure in 2007 at the time of designation.
So it doesn't need to? Okay, got it.
Gotcha. Thank you, Eddie. Anyone else? Yeah, Ann.
There's a lot of discussion about shoring, but there are no photos of shoring, so is the shoring on the interior?
There was shoring done on the interior, party wall that is not visible in any of the photographs from the exterior. Ms. Tempera did provide them last year to the commission of this bracing. We have been in consultation with Jason Hessler, HCD, about this, and in reality, the situation regarding the shoring internally is between Ms. Tempera and H&S.
Okay.
Any other commissioners? Okay, Eddie, thank you, sir. The applicant, H&S Bay, we have the representatives here?
We have the architect.
Okay, architect, come, by all means, come on up. And please give us your full name again.
Yes. Hi, I'm Chris Paffel. I'm the Director of Architecture for Morris Ritchie Associates, Architects and Engineers.
Chris, is there anything you'd like to share before?
Yeah, I'd like
the
to
commissioner
address a
asks
couple
anything?
of
Sure.
things. I'm trying to get organized so I don't get the gavel. So the shoring was put up before I was part of the project. It was put up because the wall that is on our property and was failing, and subsequently was starting to pull on the existing wall that's there. There's no party wall here. This 1532 is a freestanding building. The new building that we propose to construct will also be a completely new freestanding building with a new firewall between the existing wall at the listed row house and our new construction. Now, originally, they wanted to just do the facade. I got in there and looked around, got it with a contractor that we use. Became obvious that nothing was going to survive once we sort of pulled that front down. So we just said, why don't we go ahead and just do 4 new walls? So we'll be doing 4 new walls. Stuccoing them is no problem. We'll have some underpinning and we'll have a new footing. And I fully suspect the adjacent house has no footing whatsoever. I've offered Ms. Tempor that I would go in and look at the condition of her house before we started, take pictures, and then I would go in after we were done. And she agreed to that and was working with my staff on that on the last go-around before we decided to raise the whole structure. So we're building a new freestanding building. There's no shared wall. I would say we are going to provide a good bit more insulation and stability to that existing structure, to be perfectly frank, but that's not the ultimate goal. That'll just be a byproduct of what's going to happen. There will be underpinning, and I think that's probably the only, somewhat, pain in the neck part of this process, but it's done all the time. I've been doing it in this city for 30 years and in New York and other places for over 40. So it's a very common occurrence. So I think, I just want to be clear that we are building a simple freestanding fee simple building next to a simple freestanding fee simple structure. Is there a little scabbing going on here? Sure. As far as, what is attached to the outside of that wall. But, and not only that, it'll be completely cleaned up above as the adjacent structure is a little bit taller. So we'll clean that up. We're not going to touch that wall. That's out of our domain. But obviously we'll clean up and take care of whatever's happening at the intersection between the 2 structures. So I think that's really, as far as a Band-Aid goes, there seems to be some confusion. We're building a whole new building. There's no quick fix here. There was an attempt at a quick fix. I poo-pooed it, and now we're going to build a whole new, small little building.
Chris, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hold on one second.
Oh, sure.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Chris?
I wonder, I was not at the August hearing last year, so I wasn't here for the first, I know I missed a good one, it sounds like. But I'm wondering when, assuming that demolition and reconstruction of the building is approved and moves forward, that after the demolition phase, there may be an opportunity for someone, whoever that may be, to inspect the condition of the exterior face of the wall of the adjacent building to determine if any repair is really necessary. And perhaps the project team could consider at least providing time in the project schedule to have that inspection done and potentially follow-up repairs?
Sure. It's going to happen anyway in some capacity, but we can formalize that in the schedule, so.
Okay. Any other commissioners? All right.
So I have a couple of questions.
All right, Ann.
So obviously you have to tie your roof flash. No, you have to tie your roof flashing into that wall, I guess.
That's the only thing we're touching there.
And then this is just a question of why you're reorienting the drainage to the side instead of down to the back.
The back is really quite a mess and at a completely different grade. And so for us, it just seemed easier to move it over to and have it sheet drain off the parking lot. It can be relocated.
Oh, it doesn't matter to
Yeah,
Jeff. I
yeah.
just was like,
As long as you're not asking me a flashing question, then
I
we're
mean, I
okay.
thought the through wall
Thanks.
parapet, the through wall scupper would be trickier than the
Yes.
gutter across the back, but you know.
I used to do that, but not too much anymore. But yeah, no, it'll be clean and all buttoned up and,
Okay, thanks.
sure.
I just have one question.
Yes, sir.
You were mentioning underpinning, but you're not lower than them in the section.
No, but our footings have to go down,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
a certain.
Your footings
Yeah.
doesn't show like it's going down below there.
No, we stop and then there's a note that says that when we see the existing condition that, and then there's a whole series of underpinning
So
notes.
you will have to underpin regardless.
I can't imagine I'm not, but we never 100% know. We're pretty, I mean, if we were going down a basement, then yes, we'd be underpinning, right? But we're not. So the notes are in there, the contractor's got a budget for it. And, you know, he'll call us when he gets to that point and then we'll go out there and take a look.
And you know about the process of that. You have to deal with the neighbor even more so. because of underpinning.
Yeah.
So I guess you're already going to go through the scrutiny even more so
Yes.
further down the road.
Yes.
So
And we were in contact with the neighbor, so, you know, not recently, but originally when we were first here.
okay.
Okay, great. Chris, thank you, sir.
Okay. thank
Appreciate you.
All right.
On our list, we only have one person who'd like to testify. The name is Miles. I don't know if that's Poland or Roland, but Miles, are you here? Poland, okay, thank you. Thank you, Poland, Mr. Poland. And for the record, for the mic, go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm Miles Poland. Okay. So I'm here representing Deborah Tempera for 1532 Fleet. Couple things that I wanted to bring up. I do believe that wall is a party wall, and the stucco does cover over that party wall. So that's an item that is, I think, her largest concern and that she just wants more detail about. It did say, I think, that the party wall was going to remain. So how that's going to work out is just something she wants to know. I have some pictures of that too, if anybody wants them. But in terms of the shoring, there is exterior shoring on the front of the building currently. Those weren't in the pictures, but there was a question about that, and there is shoring on the front. Yeah, so that's her major concern.
Okay. Miles, you did that in 1 minute, man. I think you broke a record for us, so thank you.
Yeah, sure thing.
Seriously, okay.
Any questions for me about the parapet wall? I mean, not parapet, but the party wall?
I'll offer
Yes,
a
ma'am.
point of
Yes, ma'am.
clarification that a party wall is one that is structurally shared between two buildings on each side of it. And the distinction that's being made for this plan is that each building has its own wall. There are two walls that abut, but they're not structurally supported. It's not one wall that's supporting the structure on both sides.
Okay.
So that's the key distinction, is that
Distinction
we can take down this whole building, or one can take down this whole building without taking down anything that is structurally supporting 1532.
Oh, yeah, sure, but, I mean, originally it would have been a shared, the stucco.
Not according to the drawings.
Well, the stucco extends of 1530 extends over 1532 in that case,
On the front or the rear?
the front. By about 8 inches.
Not in the pictures that I saw.
There's some pictures from Miss Tempera that
Yeah.
shows that.
We
No.
have those pictures.
Well, anyway, just you can pass that along to her since you're here to represent her today.
Yeah, do you think we can see the pictures? Of the stucco on 1530. So I have some,
Miles, you said you had some pictures. Grab them real quick.
It's this.
And then I'll pass them around to bring them to me. Bring them to me.
So the first 2 pages are the first one.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks. Just pass them, guys. John, pass on that side. They're the same thing.
Yeah, it's hard to see with the tree. It's even hard to get pictures with the tree there.
Miles, you could take this copy. Because we've got 2 going on both sides, so you're fine.
We could ask Mr. Papp.
Yeah.
to explain.
Oh, yeah. Chris, can you come back up?
Because I think he.
Maybe
Yeah.
just a quick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just to piggyback on Commissioner Langby, that totally it's an autonomous building. It should be treated as such. It always probably was built as such.
Okay.
So Chris can just confirm, the architect can just confirm that
The stucco goes
whatever
over it.
treatment of the condition,
Oh, okay.
termination condition will just be dealt with at a proper way. But it is an autonomous building. It's not a party wall. We just need to-
Chris, did you hear what Commissioner K. Powell mentioned?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I apologize.
K. Powell, go right ahead.
Just as the architect, just confirm that you're gonna deal with the transition condition between the 2 properties.
Yeah.
It's already very clear, it needs to be very clear to Deborah that it's an autonomous building, it's not a party wall. It's its own building, and that just needs to be very clear. And that you as the architect and the construction, developers will take care of that transition detail.
Okay.
Just confirm.
It'll
that.
look a lot better than that when we're
Yes.
done. so.
But he mentioned it, but can you share with us that you confirm that? Go right ahead.
Yes, I'm confirming that.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. All right, then we're good. Thank you both.
Okay.
Unless, hold on one sec. Commissioners, any questions after seeing the pictures to these 2 gentlemen? Okay, then you're
Not for
good.
them.
Thank you both. Eddie, can you send us to our recommendation page first?
Can I ask Eddie a
It
question?
is.
Of course you can.
Yes.
Oh, it's there. It is. Okay.
Do we have, like, from the Sanborns, or do we know which was built first?
No, I don't have the copies of the Sanborns here.
Because
And-
obviously, if the taller structure, because I understand what they're saying. The stucco facade bites into the house, like overlaps it. And so,
I want to say that there were 2 houses previously on this site or somewhere on this lot, and then this garage came in later.
so it could, yeah, so that's kind of, I mean, that just could help clarify or confuse the question at hand.
Well, are we ready for recommendation, discussion?
I was going to give everybody an opportunity to discuss, and then we do recommendation. Yeah,
I mean,
keep going.
if it's not contributing and the buildings came after the fact, I mean, it's still that the other building was the original building, and so even if it came after, it's something that it wasn't responding to that before.
Say that there's a party wall, say it was a house, and there was a party wall, regardless of where it sits on the lot line and how many wides of brick it is, the facade brick is continuous, right?
Right.
And so when they tore down the house in this theoretical story, they left its side of the party wall. And then it looks, that's where it starts to get confusing, right?
If there's a fragment left from it on the interior side of the garage.
Yeah, and what it looks like is that could potentially be the case because the new garage facade slides under part of this theoretical party wall. And so that's what it looks like from the photograph that they circulated and that's in the package. Because the brown stucco facade doglegs into the brick masonry facade. And so that would suggest that if you wanted to separate the Siamese twins, you would have to clearly, like in the most surgical way, you would have to saw cut off the brick that's, so that's why it's messy. Now, from a design perspective, I think that's fine. You could also build a new CMU wall inside of the historic party wall and resolve it. But that will have a problem because you'll have a fragmented piece of facade that you have to rectify. So we could perhaps make a recommendation that, I'm not trying to overcomplicate this, although it's clear that it sounds like I am. It would be, because that elevation is not indicative of the existing condition. It's like the gray hatch needs to extend further over to the left. And so perhaps it would be that there was some kind of facade mitigation that would happen. If perhaps they should just build a new wall inside the property line, making the building 8 inches skinnier, right? And then run the face condition that they're demolishing over to replicate it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think that's what they're doing, right?
Well, it's not clear, no, because they're saying that they're gonna tear down the party wall, but it does look like it was shared if it was in fact preceded by a house that was built at the same time with the facade that ran
I mean,
over
based
it.
on their wall section, it doesn't seem like.
I'm not suggesting that the drawings are correct.
Oh, okay.
I'm going off of what's in the photograph because the drawings do not agree with what's in the photograph.
Gary, you had a question?
So I
Comment.
think it's all approved, they just have to fix.
I think the real discussion here is about cost, and the neighbor is understandably concerned that when this wall comes down, that the condition of her wall is going to be impaired. Why don't we encourage a little alternative dispute resolution and ask the bakery to agree to hold harmless and pay the cost of any repair necessary to leave a stabilized site.
I think that the question is if the property that preceded the garage was in fact a row house that was simultaneously constructed, then the walls could be interlocked. And so you wouldn't want to encourage the demolition, you would rather say, build a new CMU wall.
Well, perhaps we can just hold the bakery, ask the bakery to hold harmless the cost of dealing with the severance of the Siamese twins. And I think the neighbor is understandably concerned that things are stable enough now, but when you take down the wall is going to be removed, there's going to be a real possibility of difficulties we can't quite figure out. I suggest, and put this in good order for me, that the resolution we agree upon is to ask the parties to condition approval until there's a discussion between the parties as to who's going to handle the cost of picking up the pieces if things go wrong.
Let me ask this. So, Ann, after listening to you, you're saying that there's a strong possibility that when they do a brand new construction, tear that wall down, that wall could be connected to the neighbor next door.
Do you have her letter?
Yes.
The 34-page letter? The 34-page PDF that's in our package has photographs that show the condition that is the concern. I mean, that was the pictures that we were circulated, but.
Hold on a second.
Well, I thought we would put it up on the screen, but yeah.
I don't have.
That, okay, that's fine.
I mean, we can log into the website.
Yeah, that's what they want.
I mean, I don't know if that helps clarify what is or not, but
No, that's fine.
But,
it's two factors, yeah.
Okay.
but if we go Mr.
Well, I think that the
Garrett's way-
challenge with going Powers route is just that, I know your last name, thank you. I just was not gonna call you Garrett. Going with Garrett Power is that we're shifting the burden away from resolving the problem here today and putting it back on the owner, and then who's gonna really shepherd that process. So
And
I'm
one
just
thing
trying to
that
make
I'm
it
a little
simple.
bit concerned about is getting outside of our purview.
Yeah, but the problem is that what's being represented right now is not accurate. So this is the picture. So what you have is a facade of brick that is running to the left. Now, it's not a good picture, so I can't tell you much about it, other than dimensionally, it's the same size as the brick of the house. And you have this stucco facade with it, which clearly went over some kind of brick detailing. That's what the bump is.
And the side parapet there is taller. There's like a little
Yeah.
portion fragment, as though to suggest that the wall over what is now 1530 was taller.
But then who knows what's hiding behind that calc joint? So it's all very confusing, and, I think that's just the question, is you don't want to destabilize the project that's next door.
I mean, the only way to really find out what's happening there is to demo that corner. A demo that strip just to see
And see what's going on. So
Or
could
you
we
could just build the CMU wall inside the
Well, what if we
existing
just,
party wall.
what if our approval, what if we had a condition of our approval being that the side wall of 1532 had to
Can't
be
see it in the
made
street.
structurally sound prior to the reconstruction of 1530, and then we leave it, the means and methods of that up to the project team?
Anyone else?
tricky.
And, and the financial obligation, which I think is not in our
I think
purview.
that makes sense, but
Right.
I think you have two things the way you're looking at it. Like, if you approve today, you can make a statute stipulation that Commissioner Power said, and also that there might be certain stage-by-stage documentation of the procedure, and then working with staff to develop a finalization of what that detail needs to be at that location. Or you don't provide approval today, and you need to have, and say that we don't have enough materials to approve the condition of the final detail. So until they remove the material and have a proper detail that shows exactly what's gonna happen.
feel
Or
like
that
we're
could also
getting
work
into-
at staff level.
We're getting
too.
into structural details,
what he wants.
which I don't think is
Well, not
necessarily.
necessarily, well, yeah, it's structural detail in its essence, but it also affects what you're gonna see from the street, right? That's gonna be the issue. The issue, we are not getting into the involvement of the structural stability of the building and how they're gonna frame in, how they're gonna deal with that per se. It's more so is how we're gonna perceive that corner, and we don't know right now. Until they remove that material.
Yeah, I have one question. It's really more for the architect for H&S. Do you have, and if so, what is the nature of any written agreement that you have with the neighbor?
I don't believe there's any agreement with the neighbor. I mean, these are fee simple properties.
Right, but when you were speaking, there are things that you want to do on your property that, she said, I agree to, I'm okay with. But if there is some impact to her property, which obviously there's some field work that needs to be done to determine, is there a willingness, or what would that conversation be with the neighbor if in fact your work is going to encroach on her property?
We're not encroaching on her property. In fact, we're giving her property because we're not taking down the wall. You see the overlap there?
Your property line is maybe.
I'm just gonna
drawn.
point to
If you moved your
Something's
property
a little
line, yeah.
bit off. So we just need to have it reconciled.
This stays.
Yeah,
That is hers. She
Okay.
gets 4 to 6 inches of real estate.
so it's just that your elevation.
We are building our wall in here, which will then butt up to this wall, be filled solid with grout, and completely stable, way more stable than what's there now.
So what's going to happen on the facade where the brown stuff is?
It'll be behind us, and the brick will overlap and carry the cornice over.
Okay, so your drawings just don't reflect this
You
nuance.
need to move a line
Yeah,
that my guys drew here over to here, and then
Well,
we conform.
Or is the line really in the middle of that wall?
Well,
It's not really a line.
we're giving away property, right? We're just building.
That's clear,
yeah.
and that's fine. I
Okay,
mean, I think
yeah.
it's just that the drawings are not correct.
They don't
So-
match what we see in the
Right.
pictures.
There's a glitch with one of the elevations, yes. But we show a new.
And the structural, if
No,
the
we
B
show a
is
new
the
wall.
property line.
We show a new wall, though.
Yes, you do, but it's like on a lot line condition, and it's not the lot line. It's like
Oh, I see.
6 inches inside the lot line, and that's our confusion.
Yes. We're not encroaching on the adjacent property whatsoever, and in fact, we're sort of deeding land over to them.
Okay.
So Chris, once again, that gray line that I see in the middle that we saw, you just showed us, you put your hand about maybe a foot over. That's where you're gonna be building your wall. You're not where that gray middle piece is, you're gonna be going like
Yeah, I mean, I think,
a foot over.
yeah, I think we need to, because what's behind all that? you know?
Right, okay.
That's a mess.
Okay, I'm just trying to get clear, because I think the commissioners made it clear that
Yeah.
what is seen in the pictures and what Mr. Miles shared with us is uniquely different than the blueprints that we received.
Okay.
Am I clear, commissioners?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, are there any other questions for Chris?
Just one more thing.
Yes, sir.
So if it's been proposed to do stucco or been recommended from staff to change the stucco.
Oh, no.
To say it's
Side.
On the side.
That was on the side elevations, which is fine.
But what's on the front is gonna be brick?
Yeah.
Brick.
So you will have this weird gap, right? So.
You'll have a bite, and he's just saying that.
I
the
have another
grade-
suggestion.
Can you show us with your, the mouse or your finger, like what's really
So
changing?
really
is-
what needs to happen is this gray wall needs to be drawn about over here,
Yeah.
and then that's what's going on.
Right, so how are you gonna fill in that gap?
Veneer.
We're gonna overlap, just like the photograph you saw, with brick on top of, or
Your brick will bite in now instead
Yeah.
of stucco biting.
it'll be exactly what's there, it'll just look better.
Could we go back to the photograph of that
That's easy.
condition?
That's what that should be.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So-
So what if we had it as a condition of our approval that this line be held solid all the way down the front facade, and that this brickwork as part of this project be restored and toothed in with that, so that we are restoring the clean boundary
It's always
between
gonna
the
look
two
different.
buildings?
It's gonna, it'll be even.
I know it'll look,
be like
I know
a
that the brick
third,
won't match
you know.
exactly, but we're talking about dividing the Siamese twins.
I think the better
for the future.
resolve would be to, like what Ann's saying as well, is just if they're gonna put a new brick facade, just let it bite in just like it is. It's kind of like replacement in kind. Instead of doing stucco, you're putting a complete facade to fill in the bite. And so it's all complete.
Okay.
Well, if there is, then, well,
So it just, yeah.
it may be, it may not. I mean, like, there's a clear cut right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anything in there. It could also even be like when there was a sally port, I don't know. Right, yeah. So if there's a sally port there's a void.
Okay.
So that's why.
It's not pretty anyway, you look
Chris,
at it.
thank you, man.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any other discussion?
That's for you.
Okay. Tyree, can you take us to our recommendation page? Okay. Oh, that's right, because we're in the Wix site right now. That's right. We're in the Wix site. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, if there is not any further discussion for 1530 Fleet Street, new construction, the recommendation approve proposed construction with requirement that the CMU wall on the west elevation is clad with stucco. I know I heard everyone say brick. So are we saying brick or are we saying stucco?
Yeah, we're talking about different walls.
Different wall. Okay, thank you for the clarity. Does anyone like to put that motion forward?
I just want one quick.
Yes,
note.
sir.
I mean, I think I'm fine with the recommendation. I would just add that final details to be approved by staff that represents
sir.
the detailing of the in-between condition.
Well said. Duly noted. With the addition to the recommendation given by Commissioner Capel, who would like to put the motion forward? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Hey, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next on our agenda, 1808 Thornberry Road, Mount Washington Historic District. The proposal, demolition hearing 1, determination of architectural significance of one-story garage. The applicant is Virgil Bartram. Forgive me if I pronounced your last name wrong. And the staff is Mr. Eddy.
Yes, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, We have a request to demolish a one-story garage building at the rear of 1808 Thornberry Road. This is in the Mount Washington Historic District on the Dixon Hill side of the Historic District. It is a Gothic Revival area of Baltimore City in the suburbs that was originally part of Baltimore County, but then was incorporated into Baltimore City. The property main address structure is a Gothic Revival house. As you see in the photographs here, the garage was built in the early 1920s and is located in the rear. It is constructed of decorated concrete block. There is the garage is a freestanding one-story 20th century decorative concrete block building with 2/2 wood windows, wood carriage-style garage door, and a hip roof clad with asphalt shingles. It's largely unaltered. There are some vertical structural cracks in the rear and the side elevation. The site has been reviewed by the CHAP Commission staff for a one-story rear addition built in 2013. The rear deck in 2021 was reviewed by staff, and there have been no other reviews of this garage since the creation of the district. The building is here located, as you see, in 1922, and then later in 1928, it appears in the surveys of the area. Proposal applicants propose to demolish the existing garage building. It was reviewed under section 3.6 of the Baltimore City Historic Preservation Rules and Regulations, demolition hearing 1, determination of architectural significance. The main house is located here on Thornberry Road. As you see, it's set back in a rather large historic suburban lot. The garage building is located immediately adjacent, right behind, and separated by a small gap from the later one-story addition in the rear. And we see the views around the building, and it's largely intact with its historic windows. And this is a view from Dixon Road showing the building as it is located set back from this direction, but it is very close to the property line between the two properties. Mount Washington Improvement Association Architectural Review Committee has no objection to the proposed demolition. Staff reviewed the history of the neighborhood property and garage and determined that the garage was built between 1922 and 1929. The garage was built using decorative concrete blocks, which was a common building material in the early 20th century. The garage does not have an aesthetic connection to the historic Gothic Revival main house. However, the garage is significant because it's housed the vehicle of the neighborhood's transition from a seasonal residential enclave to a year-round suburban neighborhood. Historic maps mark the rapid construction of one-story garages on this and other neighboring properties between the 1910s and 1929. Recommendation, determination is that the one-story garage is a contributing structure to the Mount Washington Historic District and disapproval of the demolition. Thank you, Commissioners.
Question for Eddie.
Yes.
So the determination that the garage is contributing is based on the fact that it is symbolic of the use of cars, which allowed the neighborhood to become a full-time residential neighborhood rather than seasonal.
Correct.
Although, of course, this was a summer house that preceded that condition.
Correct.
So it relates more to the patterns of usage in the neighborhood than to the actual property that it's on. This
It is a
argument.
pattern of the development of the area. So it is a,
But technically speaking, it is not it's not on the contributing list.
there is no contributing or non-contributing list for Mount Washington.
We can talk about whether we think it's contributing later in our discussion, I think.
Yeah.
Quick question, the ARC provided support for the,
They have no opposition to the demolition.
okay. Thank you.
Eddie, can you remind us, post demolition, what's the plan or the thought?
Should the demolition be denied, then the applicants have the option of coming back for a hearing two, in which they will present facts concerning the conditions of the building, structural issues, any other financial information about saving, retaining, or reconstructing the structure that may pertain to its condition and whether it's feasible to reuse or save. Should it be approved by the commission for demolition, then they would automatically go to the next step, which is normally the step 3, in which they present to the commission whatever their new plans are.
Any other questions for Eddie? Eddie, thank you.
Oh,
Yes,
just
go
one more
ahead,
question.
go ahead.
So like in the architect's letter, they're talking about these cracks in the building. Are there photographs of the cracks or documentation
That's
of
demo
the?
two
That's-
material.
That'll be in the demolition
Okay,
two
gotcha.
hearing. They provided that as background, but they do know that the consideration today is whether it contributes or doesn't contribute to this historic district.
Okay.
One quick
Yes, sir.
The criteria that you base on is usually of those four major, and they hit all four, or they?
They partially, I mean, certainly it contributes to the broad patterns of Baltimore's history because of the car's influence upon the development of the rest of the neighborhood. So that's how it fits, the contribute.
So it's just really number one then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anyone else? Eddie, thank you. The applicant, Virgil? Yes, how are you, sir? Forgive me if I pronounced your last name wrong. Please, by all means, when you speak, give us your full name.
Virgil Bartram, architect for the project.
Go ahead. And Virgil, if there's anything you'd like to share within your 3 minutes, please, by all means.
Right. Well, I just submitted what I think you're reading now. There's a 3-paragraph memo. The decision to demolish this building was basically from working inside it, measuring it, looking at, observing the conditions of it, and just found more and more cracks. The cracks were all the way through the entire wall in cases, and actually breaking the block in half. That is, it didn't follow the running bond of the mortar joints. It actually goes right through the blocks, breaking some of these historic blocks. So it just felt it would be unconscionable to do anything else. We're proposing a one-story addition on top of it for additional space, living space. And I did do designs for it that would be saving the block and just switching to the new material. We really, but in all conscience, couldn't just add it on as it is. It looks pretty unsavable. So,
Thank you.
any questions?
Appreciate you. Hold on 1 second. Any questions for architect? Okay, good, thank you, appreciate you. On our list, we have one person, Ms. Rebecca Redditt. Sure.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Redette, and I am also an owner of the house. It only had my husband up there, but I've owned that house with him for 21 years, and in my opinion, we've been excellent stewards of the house, maintaining it, keeping it up, consistent with its historical significance. In terms of the project, in that picture, the garage looks pretty good, mainly because of the door, but it's actually, we did submit pictures, actually got cracks from the ceiling to the floor, and as Virgil said, they're not just along the grout or mortar, they're literally in between the bricks. So it does, to us, it doesn't seem like a sound structure that we could actually build on. The garage is at the back of the house. It's 150 feet from the road, so there's very few neighbors that actually see the house. see the garage. The ones that do actually live on the following road, the road behind us, which is Dixon. And one of the pictures up here is actually not my house, it's a house on Dixon. I just wanted to point that out. I have talked to all of our neighbors, and I've talked to 6 neighbors, and I have support from 6 of them, and I do have additional letters to support. And that, it wasn't just for the letters of support aren't just for the demolition, they're actually for the demolition and then the project.
Okay. Anything else? You good?
No, I guess that's good.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Eddie, are those letters, you have a copy of the letters?
I do not have the copy of the new letters.
Okay.
There are 2 letters that were uploaded to the website, which are.
Can we get copies of those for the record?
I can just hand it right to you.
Okay, you can, actually, you can, yeah. Gotcha. Eddie, can you take us to our recommendation page so we can have our discussion?
You had another question.
Sure.
So it was mentioned that the decorative block was indicative of the time period. Are there other structures in the immediate vicinity that use that same style of decorative block?
Not that I'm aware of. Most of the area has no rear alleys, so I'm not able to go down, up and down and verify.
Okay, yeah, I was
what
just
every
looking through
building
the street
has.
view to see if there were other things that were kind of.
Yeah, everything's set back. It's an area with very large lots. There are some garage buildings that were done in frame, but I don't know if there are any others in the neighborhood of this type.
Is the significance more just the fact that it is a garage in the time period, or is it just as much the material of the garage that makes it significant contributing?
More so the time period from when she was built
Okay.
in.
Okay. Commissioners, we see our neighborhood comments in the analysis, but also we see the recommendation. Before we engage in the decision, would you like to all to have a discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please. I would argue that this garage is not a contributing structure to the historic district because of the simplicity of its construction, the fact that you cannot see it from the street. And, picture, if you will, if this structure were proposed as being new, or just picture if this was something that was next to the house and visible from the street. I would argue that it would detract from the historic character of the house that it serves. So I would suggest that it's not contributing to the district.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Yeah, because this is the part of the district that was the summer houses and preceded it. I think that's kind of the logic that I have. I get that it's evolutionary, but this was not the fabric that really is noteworthy of this style. It's like a better, well, I'm not gonna say that.
Anyone else?
I'll just add that I think to the guidelines, probably there's contributing factors. I would say for me personally, it's not contributing enough for me that I would think that in this particular case, the evolution of the neighborhood, evolution of the site itself, that there's an addition that butts up against to it that's not contributing. It's evolved enough to the point where I don't know if there's a reason, a larger reason to really save the building if they want to continue to evolve the project, particularly because of its location, as you mentioned, back in the rear. So I think it's fine, in my opinion. So I don't know how we'll do it, but I want to proceed with them to allow demolition.
Gotcha. Gary, you have a comment?
Yeah. I lived in a Roland Park house for about 20 years, built in 1900 with probably a 1920 garage. And as you went up and down Indian Lane, it was random. New garages, old garages, no garages. And I think that's part of the heritage of that neighborhood, but I'm not sure any significant purpose is gained by saving one of the old garages. So the pattern was interesting, but that particular garage was not worth saving. So agree with those in opposition to the staff recommendation and would approve this destruction.
Commissioner Powers, thank you, sir. So, I'm sorry, Ann, go ahead. Were you about to say something? Oh, okay, cool. I saw your finger with the button. I'm like,
I was just thinking about,
sometimes you make it feel
If
like,
there, unless any of my fellow commissioners
Right,
have
anybody else?
more to add, I would propose a new motion.
so with the motion, yes, and that's exactly, would the motion read like this? Determination that the story garage is not contributing structure to the Mount Washington Historic District and approval.
Are you making the
of
motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I was reading it, yeah, just,
Well, I think for the purpose of procedure, I think I should make the
go
motion.
ahead. Go ahead.
That we determine that the one-story garage is not a contributing structure to the Mount Washington Historic District.
Thank you. Do I have a
Period.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? The ayes have it. So, that was awesome. With that being the last item on our hearing, for our hearing, any old business? Any new business?
I have,
Yes.
so I will not be here next month, but I just wanted to say that I was in Paris last month and saw some of the restoration of Notre Dame Cathedral.
Oh, wow.
And I took pictures of every single, they had this construction fence covered in information about the restoration in an amount of detail I have never seen before in a public viewing. And I took pictures of every panel and I just presented it to my office yesterday. So if people were interested in September at the briefing session, I would be happy to share and talk a little bit about it.
Very cool. Now, that's new information. That's right. That is cool. Anyone else?
And if you
Anyone
want to
else?
show pictures of your summer vacations, you can too.
Anything else? Okay, I call this meeting to a close at 2:06 p.m. Everyone have a good day.